I still can't believe what my own mother said to me, even now, months later. It rings in my ears like a cruel, twisted song. "I'm not your babysitter," she snapped, her voice as cold and sharp as a winter wind, when I desperately asked her to pick up my sick daughter from school. My daughter, my sweet, innocent little girl, was running a high fever, throwing up and utterly miserable, and my mom, her own grandmother, refused to lift a finger. Was I wrong for cutting her out of my life completely after that? Tell me honestly, would you have done the same thing? Let me take you back to the beginning, to a time when I still believed my mother cared, even if it was buried under layers of her own self-importance. I'm Sarah, a single mom to my amazing 7-year-old daughter, Lily. Lily is my world, my everything. Her infectious laugh, her bright, curious eyes, her endless questions about how everything works, she's the light of my life. Being a single mom isn't easy, though. I work full-time as a dental hygienist, a job I love, but it has rigid hours. If I'm not there, patients can't be seen, and that means lost income. Every penny counts when you're raising a child on your own, and I work incredibly hard to provide for Lily. My ex-husband, Lily's father, is well. He's mostly absent. He pays child support, usually late, and rarely sees Lily. It's been that way since she was a toddler, and honestly, it's better this way than having him inconsistently disappoint her. This means I bear the full weight of responsibility for Lily, and I do it gladly. My mother, Carol, has always been a complicated woman. Growing up, she was strict, often critical, and always seemed to prioritize her own needs and desires above everyone else's. She's fiercely independent, almost to a fault, and has a very strong sense of what she calls personal boundaries. This often translated into her being emotionally distant. She loved me, I suppose, in her own way, but it wasn't the warm, comforting, unconditional love you read about in books. It was conditional, based on my achievements, my good behavior, and how little inconvenience I caused her. As I got older, I tried to foster a better relationship with her, especially after Lily was born. I thought having a grandchild would soften her, bring out a side of her I'd never seen. For a while, it seemed to work. Lily adored her Nana, and my mom would occasionally watch Lily for a few hours if I had an appointment or needed to run errands. These instances were rare, though, and always came with a litany of rules and expectations. Don't bring her over if she's tired. Make sure she's eaten beforehand. I can only do this for 2 hours, absolutely no more. It was never a favor, always a transaction, a calculated allowance of her time. I tried not to let it bother me, telling myself that at least she was some asterisk help, which was more than I could say for Lily's dad. I truly wanted Lily to have a relationship with her grandmother, even if it meant me biting my tongue and navigating my mother's quirks. The school Lily attends is about a 15-minute drive from my house and roughly 25 minutes from my dental office. My mom lives about 10 minutes from the school, making her the closest family member by a significant margin. This detail becomes crucial later, as you can imagine. I had a detailed emergency plan for Lily's school, listing myself as the primary contact and my mother as the secondary. I also had a network of friends and a trusted neighbor, but my mom was always the first person I'd call if it was a workday emergency, purely due to proximity and the assumption that family would always step up for family, especially for a sick child. Oh, how wrong I was. The day it all happened started like any other Tuesday. I dropped Lily off at school, gave her a big hug and kiss, and headed to work. My schedule was packed. I had back-to-back patients all morning, including a particularly challenging root canal procedure. I was in the middle of that procedure, gloved up, face mask on, focused intently, when my phone, which was on silent in my locker, started vibrating non-stop. I ignored it for as long as I could. assuming it was a telemarketer or a non-urgent text, but the vibrations were relentless. My colleague, who was assisting me, finally looked at me with concern and whispered, "Sarah, your phone is going crazy. Maybe you should check it during a break." I nodded, a knot forming in my stomach. Something felt off. As soon as I had a moment, I rushed to my locker, my heart pounding. There were 5 missed calls from Lily's school and 3 from my mom. My blood ran cold. I immediately called the school. The nurse answered, her voice calm but serious. "Ms. Miller, we need you to pick up Lily. She's been throwing up and has a fever of 102 degrees. She's very lethargic and just wants to lie down." My stomach dropped. Lily never gets sick, and when she does, it's usually mild. This sounded serious. My mind immediately raced through my options. I had 2 more patients scheduled, then a lunch break, then an afternoon full of appointments. There was no way I could just leave. Our office policy is very strict about emergency leave. I'd need at least an hour's notice to find a replacement, and even then, it would be a huge disruption and likely cost me a day's pay. I explained my situation to the nurse, apologizing profusely, and asked if she could keep Lily comfortable for a bit longer. "I'll try to get someone there as quickly as possible," I promised, my voice laced with panic. The nurse was understanding but firm. "We really need her picked up soon, Ms. Miller. She's quite unwell." I thanked her and hung up, my mind a whirlwind. My first thought, naturally, was my mom. She was the emergency contact, she lived closest, and she was retired, so she had a flexible schedule. Surely she would understand. Surely she would help. I immediately called my mom. The phone rang for what felt like an eternity before she finally picked up, her voice sounding annoyed. "What is it, Sarah? I'm in the middle of something." My heart sank a little at her tone, but I pushed through it. "Mom, it's Lily. She's really sick at school, 102 fever, throwing up. The nurse just called. I'm stuck at work with patients. I can't leave right now. Can you please pick her up for me? She's only 10 minutes from you." I tried to keep my voice calm, but I could feel the desperation creeping in. There was a pause on the other end, a silence that stretched, filled only with the faint sound of my own ragged breathing. Then her voice, devoid of any warmth or concern, delivered the blow. "Sarah, you know I have my bridge club today, and frankly, I'm not your babysitter. You need to figure out your own childcare." The words hit me like a physical punch. I'm not your babysitter. Not how is Lily. Not, oh my goodness, my poor granddaughter. Just a cold, sharp refusal, a dismissal of my child's suffering and my desperate plea. My bridge club. My sick daughter was less important than a card game. I felt a surge of disbelief, then anger, then a profound, aching sadness. "Mom, she's really sick. This isn't just a regular pickup. She needs help. She's your granddaughter." I pleaded, my voice cracking. "I have plans, Sarah. You should have thought about this when you decided to have a child. I raised you. My job is done. Your responsibilities are yours, not mine." And with that, she hung up. Just hung up. No goodbye, no offer of a later pickup, nothing. She just cut me off. I stood there, phone still pressed to my ear, listening to the dial tone, tears stinging my eyes. The audacity, the cruelty of it, my own mother. I felt completely abandoned, utterly alone in that moment, with my sick child at school and no one to turn to. My heart was breaking for Lily. Imagine how scared she must be, and furious at my mom. How could she be so heartless? What kind of grandmother, what kind of mother, says something like that? So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have begged? Would you have tried another family member? What would your next move have been? After my mother's brutal refusal, I was in shock, but I couldn't wallow in it. Lily needed me. I quickly called my colleague Jen, a kind and understanding woman who also had children. "Jen, I have a massive emergency," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Lily is really sick at school, and I have no one to pick her up. My mom just flat out refused." Jen, without a moment's hesitation, said, "Sarah, go. I'll cover your patients for the rest of the morning. Don't even worry about it. Just go get your daughter." Relief washed over me in a powerful wave, followed by a fresh surge of gratitude for Jen and renewed anger at my mother. It shouldn't have been a colleague who stepped up first. It should have been family. I quickly explained the situation to my supervisor, who, seeing my distress, also agreed to let me go, though she reminded me that I'd have to make up the hours. I stripped off my scrubs, threw on my jacket, and practically ran out the door, calling Lily's school nurse back to tell her I was on my way. The drive felt agonizingly long. Every red light felt like an eternity. All I could think about was Lily, alone and sick, waiting for me. I pictured her little face, pale and miserable, and my anger simmered. My own mother, Lily's grandmother, less than 10 minutes away, chose a bridge club over her. When I arrived at the school, Lily was huddled on a cot in the nurse's office, wrapped in a blanket, looking utterly pathetic. Her eyes lit up faintly when she saw me, and she reached out a weak arm. "Mommy," she whispered, her voice hoarse. I scooped her into my arms, the heat from her forehead radiating through my shirt. "Oh, my sweet girl," I murmured, kissing her head. "Mommy's here. Let's get you home." The nurse gave me instructions, and I carried Lily out to the car. She drifted in and out of sleep on the way home, occasionally whimpering. My heart ached for her and solidified my resolve. We spent the rest of the day on the couch, watching cartoons, me checking her fever constantly, giving her sips of water. She threw up a few more times, but by evening the fever had broken slightly, and she was starting to keep down small amounts of soup. As she finally drifted off to sleep that night, looking a little more peaceful, I sat beside her bed, and the full weight of my mother's actions crashed down on me. It wasn't just a refusal, it was a profound betrayal. It wasn't about the bridge club, it was about her absolute disregard for Lily's well-being and for my desperate need for help. It was about her consistent pattern of putting herself first, always. I realized then that this wasn't an isolated incident. This was the culmination of years of conditional love, of always feeling like an inconvenience to my mother. And now it extended to Lily. I had spent so long trying to foster a relationship between them, trying to make excuses for my mom's behavior, hoping she would change, hoping she would finally step up and be the loving grandmother Lily deserved. But this was the final straw. My child was sick and needed help, and her grandmother chose a card game. I knew with absolute certainty that I couldn't expose Lily to that kind of coldness anymore, and I couldn't subject myself to it either. My priority had to be protecting my daughter, and that meant protecting her from people who would hurt her, even if that person was her own grandmother. The next morning, after Lily was feeling a bit better and watching her favorite cartoon, I called my mom. My voice was calm, steady, and devoid of emotion. "Mom," I began, "I just want you to know that what you did yesterday was unacceptable. Lily was seriously ill, and you refused to help, citing your bridge club. You told me you're not my babysitter." I paused, letting the words hang in the air. She started to interrupt, to make excuses, to talk about her boundaries, but I cut her off. "No, Mom, let me finish. Your refusal was not just about me. It was about Lily, your granddaughter, being sick and needing a loving adult, and you chose a card game. Because of that, I can no longer have you in our lives. I can't trust you, and I won't allow that kind of coldness to be around Lily. This is goodbye, Mom." She sputtered, shocked, then angry. "How dare you? I'm your mother. You can't just cut me off," she shrieked. "I just told you how, Mom," I said, my voice still even. "I'm protecting my daughter. You made your choice." And then I hung up. For the first time in my life, I truly felt free of her manipulative emotional grip. The aftermath has been exactly what I expected. My mom, of course, called my aunts and uncles, playing the victim, telling them I was being dramatic and ungrateful. Some of them sided with her, others with me. My Aunt Carol, my mom's sister, actually called me and apologized for my mom's behavior, telling me she knew exactly how my mom could be and that I did the right thing. That meant a lot. My mom has tried to contact me a few times since, mostly with demanding texts saying, "When are you going to let me see Lily?" Or "This is ridiculous, Sarah. You need to get over yourself." I haven't responded to any of them. I've blocked her number on my phone and on social media. Lily, thankfully, is young enough that she hasn't fully grasped the extent of the estrangement. I've simply told her that Nana is busy for a while, and we're spending time with other people who love her very much. When she's older, I'll explain it to her in an age-appropriate way. For now, she's happy and thriving, surrounded by people who genuinely care about her. Jen, my friends, my kind neighbor, and my Aunt Carol. Life without my mom's intermittent, conditional presence has actually been incredibly peaceful. The emotional burden of constantly trying to please her, of trying to forge a bond that wasn't there, is gone. I no longer feel that constant anxiety whenever her name pops up on my phone. Lily is happy and healthy. I'm working hard, and Jen has become an even closer friend. I've realized that sometimes protecting your peace and the well-being of your child means making incredibly difficult decisions, even if it means cutting ties with family. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I still sometimes question if I was too harsh, but then I remember Lily, feverish and throwing up, and my mother's cruel words. I'm not your babysitter, and I know I made the right choice. My job is to be a mother, and that means protecting my daughter from anyone who would treat her with such cold indifference, even if they share my blood. So, that's my story. It's been a tough journey, but I truly believe it's for the best. If you were on my side, please like this video. Subscribe for more stories like this, and share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.